Have you ever felt like your emotions are playing tricks on you? Like one moment you're completely fine, and the next you're overwhelmed for no clear reason. For me, this happens all the time. A text left on read in WhatsApp can send me into a spiral of overthinking, or just hearing someone laugh when I enter a room makes me wonder if they were talking about me. Sound familiar? We are all emotional beings, especially as teenagers. But how often do we stop to think about what's actually going on inside us? Here's the catch. Feelings and emotions aren't the same thing. I didn't know this for the longest time. Emotions are like an automatic response. Fear, joy, and anger, they just happen. Feelings, on the other hand, are how we interpret those emotions. They are shaped by our thoughts, experiences, and even what we tell ourselves. Here's a quick example. Let's say you're watching a scary movie and suddenly something jumps out. Your heart races. That's your emotion. But later, when you feel uneasy walking through a dark hallway at home, that's your feeling. Your mind is holding on to that earlier fear and making sense of it. To begin with, let me share something personal. I went through a pretty tough situation, one that tested my emotional strength and patience. I won't go into too many details, but it was a time when I felt completely overwhelmed. I was juggling frustration, sadness, and anger all at once. At first, I did what most of us do. I suppressed and concealed my emotions. I convinced myself I was fine, but inside, I wasn't. All those emotions turned out in the worst way possible. I snapped at a close friend over something small, and it hurt our relationship. Looking back, I realized I wasn't mad at them. I was mad at myself for not dealing with what I was feeling. I knew I had to change. I started by acknowledging my emotions instead of ignoring them. I let myself feel them fully and try to understand why they were there. One emotion led to another. Frustration turned into guilt, and guilt turned into regret. But by facing them, I stopped the spiral and found a sense of calm. That's when I understood one emotion leads to another. Have any of you seen Inside Out? It's such a clever movie because it shows how emotions like joy, sadness, and anger work together. One thing that stuck with me is even how sadness, which we usually avoid, plays such an important role. Or take The Perks of Being a Wallflower. That movie really captures how messy teenage emotions are. It shows us that it's okay to feel everything deeply, even when it's overwhelming. Here's something you would want to know. Every emotion has a purpose, even the ones we don't like. Anxiety pushes us to work harder. Embarrassment teaches us humility. And boredom is underrated. It's where the best ideas come from. When I look back at that tough time 2 years ago, I realize now that I was too scared to deal with my emotions. I treated them like my enemies, when in reality, they were just trying to help me figure things out. What do you think helped me manage my emotions? Number one is reading nonfiction books. I found myself in the pages of nonfiction books. They gave me insights into understanding my emotions instead of hiding from them. Some of the books include Attitude is Everything, Atomic Habits, Ikigai, and also The Alchemist. These books acted as tools for my understanding about emotions and helped me regulate them. Next is talking to someone I trusted. I opened up to my parents and friends. Just saying my feelings out loud made things clearer. And finally is giving myself permission to feel. I stopped pretending I was fine and let myself cry when I needed to. Feeling my emotions fully helped me process them and find peace. Emotions are like road signs on a journey. They point us toward what we need to pay attention to. The tricky part, we often don't stop to read those signs. Instead, we get caught up in the noise. We brush aside the little pangs of anxiety or just bury the sting of disappointment under a smile. Emotions are never the problem. It's about how we react or respond to them. Let's make this easy. Emotions are like waves in the ocean. You can't stop them from coming, but you can learn to surf. The more we resist, the harder it gets to stay afloat. But when we learn to move with them, we get to understand their rhythm and eventually their purpose. So the next time when you're caught up in a storm of emotions, take a moment, acknowledge what you're feeling, and manage them in a better way. Thank you.